Thank you, Speaker. Today we have seen the claimant count in Lincoln fall by 20% on last year, with a 44% drop of those claiming since 2010. Does my right honourable friend believe that this is down to having local job fairs, a clear long-term economic plan, secure our national recovery, and that it would be put in jeopardy by the shambles that is the party led by the honourable member opposite?
First of all, let me congratulate businesses in Lincoln for their record in providing people with jobs. The unemployment figures out today, I think, are extremely good. We see 140,000 more people in work. We see the employment rate at its record level since records began. Unemployment's come down, vacancies have gone up, youth unemployment and long-term unemployment have both come down. All of this, yes, the job fairs are important, the apprenticeships are important, but above all what matters is having a long-term economic plan that's about a strong and secure economy and getting the deficit down and running a surplus. That is what we should be focused on.
Jeremy Corbyn. I want to ask the Prime Minister a question about tax credits. Kelly writes, I'm a single mum to a disabled child. I work 40.5 hours each week in a job that I train for. I get paid £7.20 per hour. So in April the Prime Minister is not putting up my wage up, but he'll be taking tax credits off me. So my question is, can the Prime Minister tell us how much worse off Kelly will be next year?
Let me answer very directly on the issue of tax credits. What we're doing is bringing in the national living wage, which will be a £20 a week pay rise for people next year. Obviously, Kelly will benefit as that national living wage rises to £9. Right, so there's the introduction of the national living wage, which will reach £9 by the end of the Parliament, which will benefit Kelly. Also in April next year, we raise to £11,000 the amount of money that you can earn before you start paying taxes. And also, Kelly, and she has children, will be benefiting from the 30 hours of childcare that we're bringing in. In addition to that, there's also the point that if Kelly, and I don't know all her circumstances, but if she is a council house or housing association tenant, we're cutting her rents. All those things are important, as is the increase in employment and the increase in wages taking place today.
I thank the Prime Minister for that. So can I tell him, in case he's not aware of it, that she's going to be £1,800 a year worse off next April? And that there are another 3 million families in this country will also be worse off next April? And that after housing costs, 500,000 more children are now in poverty compared with 5 years ago in 2010? And on top of that, his new tax credit policy will put another 200,000 children into poverty. Isn't the truth of the matter that this government is taking away the opportunities and limiting the life chances of hundreds of thousands of children from poorer or middle-income families in this society? And should he not be aware of that in the decisions he makes?
Even though the unemployment figures came out today and we see 140,000 more people in work, he still hasn't welcomed the fall in unemployment today. But the point he needs to focus on is this, is that all these people benefit from a growing economy where wages are rising, where inflation is falling, and where we're getting rid of our deficit to create economic stability. The fact is that since I became Prime Minister, there are 480,000 children in work. There are almost 1 million more children in work. There are 250,000 children in work. The best route out of poverty is to help people get their children in work.
The Prime Minister is doing his best, and I admire that, but could he not tell us something else? That the reality is people in work often do rely on tax credits to make ends meet. A question from Matthew. This might be funny to some members, but it's not funny to Matthew or many others. Matthew says, I live in a private rented house in London with 3 other people. Despite earning a salary well over the median wage, buying even the cheapest of properties is well beyond my reach for years to come. Does the Prime Minister think it's fair that £450,000 is actually an affordable price for a new home for somebody on an average income to try and aspire to?
We want to see starter homes in London built for £150,000 and £200,000 so that people like Matthew can stop renting and start buying. And what I would say to Matthew is that we are doing everything we can. And what I would say to Matthew is that we are doing everything we can. And what I would say to Matthew is that we are doing everything we can. And what I would say to Matthew is that we are doing everything we can. We are doing everything we can. We are doing everything we can. We are doing everything we can.
Could I bring the Prime Minister back to reality?